I remember that day very, very well. I don't think I will forget the day for a long time. The previous night, I was having dinner with a couple of friends, and we were in a pub where the television were showing the results. Nobody else in the entire pub was paying attention to the results, which is something that obviously did surprise us. I have to say that it was 3 of us, and none of us are British. And it was one of the ironies. Those who cannot vote were more interested in the outcome than those who could vote. However, at that time, one of the first outcomes that came out was the result in Gibraltar. And as we know now, the outcome was very clear. Around 96% of them voted against Brexit. So that was a moment of relief for me. And I was very optimistic about the outcome at that point. However, the next morning, when we watched the news and we saw the final outcome, we felt a mix of emotions. In my case, mainly disbelief. It has taken me a long time to finally accept that that was the real outcome. And I think it has to do with the fact that my background is in European Union studies. And everything that I have learned for the last 15 years about the European Union, the way it works, the benefits, also the negative aspects of it, was mixing with the comments from different people on the streets about how bad the European Union is, and about how they thought that leaving the European Union would be better for the economy of the UK, for the society of the UK, and even for the political future of the UK. And it has taken me more than a year to finally start to understand why we are in the situation where we are. And the only way for me to understand what's going on is to put aside the academic aspect and to focus just on emotions and feelings. Those emotions and feelings of members of the British society who have felt abandoned to some extent by the British government for many years through the austerity measures, and previously through other policies, but also the feelings and emotions of other members of the society who do not feel and never felt part of the European society. I have done a bit of research on Brexit, and I have read academic papers and newspapers, and I follow many experts on the topic on Twitter. And the more I think about it, the only way I can understand the outcome is by focusing on individual views and individual feelings and emotions. Yes, I have been able to understand better different parts of the country because I've been living in big cities, mainly in the UK, for the last few years, and now the attention has been placed in very small towns and villages that normally will not be on the news. And personally, I was not aware of the political and economical and social issues in those places. It is important to focus on those places as much as it is the focus on London, on Glasgow, on Edinburgh, Birmingham, etc. And I'm glad that at least this is one of the positive outcomes of the entire process. Everyone, I will say, in the entire UK is much more aware of what's going on in many parts of the UK, and those voices, at least for a short period of time, have been heard. The comment from Boris Johnson about the Brexit dream dying is very interesting. However, I completely disagree with that sentence. Brexit was not a dream because the lack of understanding on the European Union in general terms and on the impact of this referendum has been finally been proved. It is clear now that there is a large lack of knowledge about how the European Union, the European Commission, the European Parliament, etc., work on a daily basis. It is clear now, there have been studies that have been recently published where they explain that the referendum on Brexit was not about the European Union per se. It was more about one chance where a vote had a real impact, in the sense that the British political system has what is known as first past the post system, and it's very difficult to have an impact as an individual, especially if you're in an area where the seat is clearly on one side already. If one political party is going to get that seat without any effort, it's very difficult to feel motivated to vote in those circumstances. However, when it comes to referendums, every single vote matters, let's be honest. And people were sold also the idea of a sort of punishment against the government, as against David Cameron and against David Cameron's policies, as a way of voting in this process. There was never a dream. Brexit, what is Brexit, is not a dream. And it will never be a dream the way things are going. Some people might dream about leaving the European Union, and they are completely entitled to that. However, neither the referendum campaign or the almost 2.5 years after has been a dream for anyone. And the outcome is very soon at this point to talk about the outcome, but it's very difficult to believe that the outcome is going to please not just half of the society, but even a small percentage of the society. I completely disagree with Boris Johnson. If I had to pick just one word for how I'm feeling today, and this is October 2018, I will say is disbelief. I feel like I cannot believe the news. When I read them, I cannot believe what politicians are saying, and I cannot believe the actions of many main actors in the entire project that Brexit is. I cannot understand that a country, leave alone a wealthy country, is in a situation where it could end up damaging its economy out of a very unclear outcome, as the referendum was. Everything that I have studied for the last 15 years does not apply to what I'm experiencing as a person and as an academic. It doesn't match. Everything is new to me. The processes, the politics, disbelief is probably the best word for me. Considering that I work at a university where I teach sometimes European Union topics, for me, one of the lowest points in my entire career as an academic was the moment where there was the idea of sending information from universities about Brexit, about how Brexit was being taught, about the content of the lectures and the names of the staff members that were teaching those topics, to a politician that was requesting that kind of information. I cannot remember any other moment in my academic life where something similar happened. Because I am not British, I'm even more surprised about the request. And because I am Spanish, I'm feeling even more uncomfortable just with even the discussion of the issue, leave alone receiving those kind of requests. At that point, I was expecting more support from perhaps the European Union, because at the end of the day, we are teaching topics that will help people to understand how the European Union works. And that was a moment where I had to rethink what kind of future I was going to have in the UK if they were willing to some extent, go down that line, that path.